Hello Seekers, welcome to Punneit's Astrology, your one-stop astro channel. Now Mars is going into debilitation from 20th of October. But you will see this video after 20th of October. I want you to understand this once you are in the Mars debilitation, once you are experiencing this Mars debilitation. The reason is that Mars is going to stay like this for a very long time. In December, first week Mars will become retrograde, then it will fall back to Gemini. Then this oscillation will happen, and until next year June, Mars is not going to leave the Karka Rashi, the Cancer zodiac sign. And remember, when Mars reaches the border of Cancer and Leo, it crosses the Gandanta point. And after this war, Mars becomes very powerful in a fiery zodiac sign of Leo. What happens when Mars enters Leo? By the time when Mars enters Leo next year, Saturn goes to Pisces. Where is Pisces? 8th from Leo. And Mars has an 8th aspect. Right now also, when Mars is in Cancer, it has an 8th aspect on Saturn. Saturn which is in Aquarius. That means Mars and Saturn have this battlefield going on. That means it's a war between whether to maintain the patience or whether to go full on, whether to strike and give a revenge and give a reply, befitting reply. So it's a war going on internally. And when Mars goes into Cancer, it is losing the patience. It is losing that sanity. It is losing the grip, and it is becoming more and more emotional. People who have strong moon with Jupiter, moon has an aspect of Jupiter, or Taurus moon sign, Cancer moon sign will be more or less okay. But anybody who has negative Jupiter and negative moon can get impacted negatively by the Mars being in this watery zodiac sign. Mars never perform well in water zodiacs, except Scorpio, which is not fully water. Now when Mars comes in Cancer, which is fresh water, what is energy, or what is a hot planet like Mars going to do in fresh water? It's like a soldier dipping his head into the Ganges. Now what for? Is it an underwater soldier who is preparing, like somebody who is in submarine, or like stealth fighting below the water? Or it is for relaxation, and relaxation cannot happen for a prolonged period of time. That is the problem. If this Mars was coming here for a short period of time, it would have meant relaxation. But Mars is going to stay, and it will move back to Gemini in Mrigshira Nakshatra. So this Mrigshira energy, which is a fast moving energy, may mean that this is culmination of a battle, a war. That means the situation around the world may become difficult. Patience is losing. Market will be impacted. Remember, Jupiter is also going to becoming retrograde in Mrigashira Nakshatra's first pada. I have uploaded the importance of Jupiter in Mrigashira first pada on my Patreon platform. So do join me. It helps to support Punneit's Astrology, and Patreon is a great platform where I upload some videos which are not supposed to be uploaded on a public platform. There's some negative transit, something where I have things I can say more freely. So do check that out. But when Mars enters Cancer zodiac sign, it simply means that the mind is very emotional, the energy is very sporadic, and it's like you're all over the place. One day you're feeling very good, the very next day you are angry, you are agitated, you are impatient, you are anxious, and suddenly you are okay. So you need to regulate this, otherwise this will go out of rhythm. This may become a beat of chaos. So one way to handle this is by enjoying music, rhythm. So if you listen to some rhythmic beats, or if you pray with rhythm, or chanting Shiva Tandav Stotra, or Vishnu Sahasranam, anything that has beat and rhythm, or simply saying Soham, the sound that your breath produces, Soham, 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 Om, 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 Om. If you follow the beats, if you follow the rhythm, the moon, Mars will become balanced. Otherwise, this has a chance to create an underwater volcano, and things can become very erratic, very dangerous, and can culminate into something very chaotic. Let's discuss what this transit means for you, for your ascendant. You can watch this video as per your ascendant, but if you don't know your ascendant, you can also watch this video as per your moon sign. Let's discuss. But before that, do not forget to subscribe my channel, hit the bell icon, and do not forget to follow me on Instagram where I upload reels and other interesting videos. You can also subscribe to my Instagram. I'm going to upload more videos there also. And if you want to book my consultation, you can drop me an email. You can also book a Kundali PDF report, which is a 300 plus pages system generated report that covers most of the areas of your horoscope. Also gives you a lot of divisional charts and Mahadasha details. Check that out. The link is also in the description box below. Let's start ascendant wise analysis. Aries. For Aries ascendant, Mars is going to play a very vital role when it moves into the Karka Rashi. See, Mars is your ascendant lord, Mars is your 8th lord. When it goes in the 4th house, it affects your peace of mind. It affects your assets, it affects your availability for your family. 4th house is something that defines your happiness, that defines your peace of mind, that defines your comfort zone. And when Mars moves there and stays there for a very long time, remember around 7th of December, Mars will go retrograde. I will make another video for that. But let's focus for the time till the Mars becomes retrograde, that for the first phase of this debilitation of Mars, Mars' major impact will be to drive you into believing that you are not comfortable in the current situation, you're not comfortable with what you have right now, you're not comfortable with the overall quality of life. And because your 8th lord is also getting debilitated, it means that somewhere you will feel that you are surrendering to what is happening around you, surrendering to the circumstances. The ups and downs of life are overwhelming, and this is kind of creating a toll on your mind. This can create family tensions, this can create battle for property. You will also have to drive carefully during this time. Road rage is something that you can experience, or a tough driving conditions. Suddenly what can happen is that you might drive, you meet an accident and realize that you don't have an insurance for the vehicle. So all the paperwork must be carefully analyzed, and you have to see that you should not be lacking anywhere, especially from the insurance, from all the protection. Now Mars being your ascendant lord, when it goes in the 4th house, it shows that you are more worried about your mother. You are remembering your mother, old days, the time that you have spent. You may also feel a little homesick if you are lonely, if you are somewhere else in the world, and therefore you might remember, and this can make you a little nostalgic. If you have a powerful Mars in your birth chart, say Mars is in your Lagna, Mars is in your 10th house, then this Mangal can actually make you feel a little relaxed, because sometimes the high energy Mars in the birth chart is countered by a more relaxed and restful Mars being in the Cancer zodiac sign. But this can be emotionally challenging, this can create mood swings, this can create changes in your mind, this can also affect the impact of the lunar cycle on your mind. Mars aspects the 7th house, 10th house and 11th house. Therefore, it also will have an impact on your career and marriage, which means that you are in two parts. Whether you want to save the marriage or you want to focus on your career. So that will be the dilemma for the Aries ascendant. That means you have to be careful while picking sides, and especially you will have to be careful while dealing things that are emotional. You can also see emotional outbursts in the family, sudden reaction among family members, and something that is unexpected. So in this case, playing cool, playing humble, being soft, to handle the situation will be the best idea. Not a great time to buy properties, not a great time to buy vehicles during this time, unless you have pre-decided and you have already started the process. If you have any problem related to land, you resolve it with peace. Otherwise, this can become a prolonged battle. Praying to Bhagwan Hanumanji by chanting Hanuman Chalisa 21 times every day and being very emotionally connected to Bhagwan Hanuman is a very good way of handling Mars in the Karka Rashi. Taurus. Now for Taurus ascendant natives, the position of Mars is very crucial to your decision-making ability, your Purusharth, your Parakram, that means your ability to execute a task, your efforts, because Mars is in the third house. Now third house is the place where Mars gets directional strength. Third house is the place where Mars, becomes very, very strong, because that is the placement of your action, your activity, your initiatives. It is represented by your arm strength. And when Mars goes debilitated, this shows that you are thinking that you have stronger arms, that means you have high capacity, but you may not be able to execute the task in reality. So the reality may be different than the fiction. You have to understand this. That means whenever you are trying to commit yourself for a certain task, whenever you are trying to do something, you have to understand the ground reality, that what is possible and what is not. If you do something that is impossible, if you do something that is difficult, without giving attention to the consequences, without giving attention to the roadblocks, you will eventually land yourself in trouble, because third house Mars means you are ready to fight but without weapons. Now this debilitation of Mars also means that you will have some problem with your neighbors, with your younger siblings. There can be emotional challenges, and if you are emotionally reactive at this situation, then this can further damage the relationship between you and younger siblings. Also, third house is connected with short distance travels. So when you are undertaking the travel, you have to be careful so that the energy does not get depleted. So for example, ensure that your car is well serviced, it has enough petrol, it has enough charge if you're using an electric vehicle, because at the end of the day it might have a breakdown and you might be stranded, and that won't be a pleasant situation. Now when Mars goes in the third house, it also impacts your neck and shoulder area. So especially for people who are using a lot of mobile phone, who are using a lot of computers, may experience a pain, a stiffness in the muscles, spinal injuries, neck pain, slip disc, whatever is associated with that part of the body, that can impact your function, your day-to-day activity. Because Mars coming in the third house is going to confuse you. You won't be able to judge what is a priority for the day. And because of that, you can feel overwhelmed, you can feel anxious. Mars aspects your sixth house, which is also the house representing the day-to-day activity. The very tasks that are small, that are usually never focused, that is the area. Those are the areas where the problems will come from. Mars will also aspect the ninth house. Therefore, this is going to make you more rebellious. You might be in a position where you are immediately jumping into conclusion, immediately deciding, and immediately reacting at situations. And then Mars also aspects the 10th house, which means it is going to impact your career, and you may suddenly want to change your career. You may suddenly want to do something different than usual, than the standard protocol. So this breaking the protocol and doing different will be the attitude. This may sound very exciting, that let's focus on something that is ultra, I will say luxurious, or something that is different. All that emotion have to be managed carefully, otherwise you may end up deciding something that will eventually work against you. The best way to handle is scrutinizing your decisions, doing cross review with your peers or with your well-wishers, or taking help from the respective institutions. Say you want to take a financial decision, talk to your CA. And also not being overwhelmed emotionally and taking emotional decisions. These things may sound to be very difficult, but eventually you will have to do it in order to have a smooth life. Gemini. Now in case of Gemini, if you observe, the Mars is going to go debilitated in the second house. It was in your first house. It is going from first house to second house. In December, it will become retrograde and then it will fall back into the first house. Then it will go direct in Gemini, then move back to the sign of Cancer. So in the phase 1 of the transit, when it is moving in the Kark Rashi till it becomes retrograde, this Mars is going to create the impact in the second house. It is going to create a underwater tornado. That means in your family, there will be an underlying situation that will trouble everybody. That means maybe people will not talk about it, but it can be a taboo-like situation or something that is a little bit worrying. So here, the entire family should come together. The family should come all in a unity, and they should follow the path where each one is following a kind of a humble approach towards everybody else. Now, the second house is called Kutumb Bhav, the family house, but it is also called Dhan Bhav. That means it is also the house of wealth, financial security. It is also the house of resources, your values. And therefore, this is something that is very personal to you, something that is at one arm distance. A debilitated Mars means your 11th Lord, Mars, which is your income Lord, is going in the second house. That means situation in the family might be such that you're more worried about financial condition. The situation in your career may be a little dicey, which means there are insecurities in your mind about how will you fulfill the resources, maybe how will you meet the targets and loans. Now Mars coming in the second house is going to aspect the 5th house. So this is also going to impact your children. So be careful there. It is also going to impact your education if you are a child, if you are a teenager. So what you should do is, if things are not right in your home, focus completely on studies. Now when Mars is in second house, it is going to aspect the 8th house. So there will be a situation where your family and your in-laws family might go into a little bit of verbal fight. There can be legal challenges also in certain cases, so be careful. Also, do not trust the people who are outsiders, always. Some of them can be trusted, many can't. It's your 11th Lord going debilitated. That means if you want to plan a partnership, say with your friend, then it may not be a financially sound decision. For that, you will have to get your horoscope checked if everything else is right in your birth chart. Now, if you are seeing Mars's energy coming in the second house, you are going to question your family values. You are going to challenge your core fundamental values. And on one side, if you do it as per dharma, that means as per the legal and spiritual boundaries, you will be able to create reform movements. Otherwise, many who will be reckless can become rebel. Your words will become rude. So you might also challenge your family values. And if you are reckless, it can make you a rebel. Your words may sound rude. At every emotional trigger, you will be sounding rude. You will be trying to confront the situation with logic, but you may sound illogical. So be very careful that whatever argument you are giving, you will know the fact before you express yourself. Also, Mars is calories. A second house debilitated Mars may make you eat junk food, oily food. Avoid all that, because through food your health may go down, your health may become negative. So be careful there. You should not worsen your health situation just because you are stressed out. But overall, a second house Mars is never that bad. It's just that because it has a kind of a negative aspect on the 9th house, it wants you to follow a different route. It does not want you to follow the traditional path. You may choose to follow a different route just because you are jealous about someone, just because they have done it, you don't want to do it. That is wrong. You should not follow that path. If you're humble, if you're grounded, this Mars is going to give you property growth. This Mars is going to give you rise in assets, but in the long term, not in the short term. You may end up dissolving your savings for something urgent. Be careful. Have a backup plan. Have a financial backup, because this Mars is going to affect the second house for a very big period of time until June next year. Praying to Mata Mahalakshmi, chanting Shri Sukta, and also praying to Bhagwan Hanuman by reading Sundarkand is a very good remedy. Cancer. For Kark Rashi or Cancer Ascendant, the Mars is going to move in your first house. Now, if you observe, Mars is your 5th lord, Mars is your 10th lord. That means Mars defines your value of life, your knowledge, your education. Mars defines your career, your will to outshine others, the power of competition. It also defines your chance of promotion. It also defines your name, fame. So Mars for Kark Rashi shows your ability to resist and overcome hurdles. And that Mars comes in your first house, and when something comes in the Lagna, it affects your entire life. It affects your head, your mind, and it affects your decision-making ability. With Mars in the emotional zodiac sign, in the Moon's zodiac sign, until December 7th, for the first phase of the Mars debilitation, you have to understand one thing, that this can create errors. You can mistakenly take decisions, you can commit mistakes, you can have judgmental issues, you can have issues in making this right decisions. So this is the time not to take big decisions of life. Rather, this is the time to focus on the micro managing your own life, focusing on the smaller things rather than the bigger things. Imagine like this, that if you are, say, creating a building, and if your pillars are weak, doesn't matter how big your design is, if the pillars are weak, if the smaller structures are weak, the building will collapse. Similarly, when Mars goes in the first house, it is going to make you very emotional. You will be driven by a lot of energy. Suddenly you will feel over enthusiastic, and suddenly you will feel lack of energy on the other side. Say your Mars is strong, very strong, suddenly you will feel a dip of energy. And if your Mars is kind of okay, you may feel overwhelming, you may feel a kind of a reaction which is more emotional, more sentimental rather than realistic. So you need to follow a practical and realistic approach of life rather than the emotional way of life. So when Mars goes in the Lagna, it brings all the 10th and 5th house energies. Suddenly you may realize that you don't know enough, or you may feel that people are not valuing your knowledge enough, and you are resisting that. You are trying to prove yourself. It's okay to prove yourself, but not at the cost of your health, not at the cost of your mental well-being. Because Mars, when it sits on the head, it makes you think like a warrior. But when Mars is a warrior but in water, that means you are trying to get out of the water, you are trying to get out of the sinking ship. That means your mind is more desperate, more focusing on the negative side and more focusing on what may go wrong rather than what may go right. So you need to have that optimistic approach of life rather than the pessimistic approach of life. You need to be very morally strong. You need to stand firm with your values, and you also have to be careful. This can destroy a relationship with your father. Also, this Mars will have a strong aspect on the 7th house, and therefore wrong expectations from the life partner may create problems in life, break of marriage. Being too sentimental, too judgmental, too emotional towards your life partner can only create tensions, and this can create stressful situations. This can also in turn affect your mental health and can give you anxiety. Now we know that the Sun is debilitated in the 4th house. When Mars and Sun both are down, you just need to take a step back, relax. And if you follow that, the humble approach of life, the simpler approach of life, you will be okay. But if you want to hustle at this point of time, be careful. Because Mars will become retrograde and start moving back to Gemini, which is your 12th house. And therefore you may end up spending a lot of money. Say you're in a business, now you want to invest, suddenly you have all the investment done, but there is no business. So that becomes an impractical decision. Always cross-verify, cross-check your decisions, do a peer review, whatever you're doing in your career, in your life. And if you're a student, this might be a challenge to create a sharp focus on your studies. So what you have to do is you have to keep on telling yourself why you are doing this. You have to keep yourself motivated, reading autobiographies, focusing on the life of Bhagwan Shri Ram, reading Ramayana, focusing on core values of life, and no matter where life takes you, sticking to that core value is very important when Mars is debilitated on your Lagna. Also, this can create emotional anxiety and rise of, heightened sensitivity. Say the weather fluctuations will affect you, the surrounding atmosphere, what is happening around the world will affect you a lot. So try to see good things, try to read good books, and try to surround yourself with positive people. Leo. For the another fire zodiac, Leo, Mars is going to be a tricky planet here. Why? Because see, Mars rules your 4th house and Mars rules your 9th house. 4th house is your happiness, but 9th house is your belief system. Say, imagine you are in a comfortable state of mind, that you know something, you are comfortable with your knowledge, you trust somebody or you trust the process, and suddenly the things derail. Suddenly there is an unexpected roadblock, or there is a bump in the process, and you have to overcome that. That challenges your faith, that throws you out of the comfort zone. It's like, imagine you're driving a car, it's nice, clean road, nice weather, you're enjoying your drive, and suddenly the car starts jerking, and out of nowhere the gearbox fails. Although you are safe, you will maneuver the car, put a brake, but it kind of puts a stop in the process, the free flow of life. So for Leo ascendant, when Mars goes in the 12th house, this is what happens. Also, 12th house is the house of subconscious mind or even unconscious mind. You retire in your bed, and when you sleep, you are actually activating the 12th house, loss of consciousness. So if you see the 4th house, the 12th house getting impacted, which means your efficiency is getting reduced, this Mars is going to create a lot of doubt in your mind. Remember, we are talking about the phase 1, which means till 7th of December. So this is going to create a lot of doubt in your mind. This will slow you down. Maybe the feedback or the concerns being raised by people who you love or people who you trust kind of puts doubt in your mind. So first of all, don't be too ignorant about the advice given by your loved ones to you. Also, don't be too possessive about your own decision. Don't be very rigid about your own decision. This is a fluid Mars. This is a flow of energy. This is water. Also, this means that you need to vent out your emotions. So if you feel that you are hiding a volcano inside, you need to talk to a psychologist. You may be needing a friend at this point of time. However isolated you are, you will be finding someone. All you have to do is you will have to focus on finding the right person to talk to. Now, you have to understand that when Mars is going in the Karka Rashi, that is your 12th house, your ascendant lord is debilitated in Libra. And the same Mars will be aspecting your ascendant lord from the 12th house, which may also mean that the confidence that is going down is creating medical issues. You may feel lack of energy. You may feel that you are not motivated at all. You may feel humiliated and insulted because of n number of reasons. Suddenly your mind is more sensitive and you are more reactive, but maybe you don't have the energy to actually have a physical reaction, but inside there is a lot of, I will say, a kind of a volcano or a tornado being built up. So what you have to do is you will have to go with the flow. Now for people who can, feeding food to fishes is going to be a very good remedy. Avoiding seafood is also a very good remedy. Focusing on pranayama and controlling the water level inside the body, exercising hard and sweating is a very good remedy here. Also, praying to Bhagwan Hanuman on a Monday, also praying to Bhagwan Mahashiv by chanting Om Namah Shivaya is a very good remedy. What you have to do is you will have to ensure that you are not overspending just because of a feeling that maybe shopping will give back the happiness, or maybe shopping will give you the confidence. What will happen is that you may overspend, say, on friends and family just to be a part of the circle. But this is only going to make you lose money rather than being, you can't buy your place. Remember this. You will have to prove your worth and you will have to go one step at a time. When Mars aspects the third house, this may mean that you may have to relocate to a foreign land for career. You may have to relocate. This shows foreign travel. So good for people who want to travel in a foreign country, who have visa issues, who want to travel overseas. It is a very good for you. People who are in Navy, people who are in Merchant Navy, people who are anywhere connected to water sports or water transport, for you it's a very, very good time. Also, you should be careful about your blood glucose levels if you have diabetes, because that may fluctuate a lot. It can also create unexpected outburst of anger, because Mars is aspecting the 6th house and you are sensing that your enemy is winning. This can frustrate you more. This can create feeling of jealousy. So you have to be very, very conscious about your actions, about your decisions, and what is running inside your mind. The subconscious mind is going to play a vital role. Also, a lot of messages can come through dreams. So write down your dreams and follow the subconscious pattern, which also means feeding your subconscious mind. So by playing a bhajan and then sleeping in night, or by playing a nice flute music and then sleeping, will help you in the long run. Virgo. Now in case of Virgo, Mars is a very different kind of planet for you. Why? Because if you're a Virgo ascendant or Virgo moon sign person, Mars rules your 3rd house, which is about your strength, and Mars rules your 8th house, which is about how you will manage your ups and downs of life. So Mars is responsible both for creating trouble and then giving you strength to fight that trouble. So basically, Mars is something that will act as a weapon by which you will be able to lead your life in this world. If Mars is good in your chart, you will be able to face everything in your life and become victorious. You are a Virgo, that is a very calculative zodiac sign. But such a Mars, when it becomes debilitated in the transit, that means Mars going into the 11th house, can create some challenges. And the challenges will be to exactly get what you want in life. Remember, the 3rd lord is going 9 places away into the 11th house. That means if you are going to associate yourself with a lot of people, you may not be able to extract the best out of them. Say for example, you are a new company and you are hiring resources, you may not be able to extract the best out of them. Or say for example, you want to build a product, the product may not perform the way you want it to perform. But the best thing about this Mars is that this Mars is in the 11th house. And this is in the safe zone, I will say. That means if you are emotionally connecting with a lot of people, you are being humble, you are being grounded, you're not risking too much, you're not going into bad partnership, you're not hiring or you're not spending money recklessly, and you're just stabilizing things, this Mars will beautifully enlighten you. This will give you new career opportunities. This will give you new way to deal with people. This will give you new and positive atmosphere in your career. This will give you new things to learn, especially learning on the go. The only thing is that this Mars may not give you exact income that you're looking for. So always target a little higher than what you actually need. You need $100, target for $150. That is how you have to do. You have to offshoot. You have to struggle a little extra to get a certain amount of money. This may be emotionally overwhelming and tiring, but that's how it is. Then Mars has an aspect on the 2nd house, which means Mars is actually controlling your financial state of life. But do you know that this time is very good to cancel out any unnecessary loan, limit your expense, regulate your day-to-day financials like daily spending or monthly spending. If you regulate all that, it will be a very, very positive time period for you. But on the negative side, this can increase unnecessary loans and debts. If you believe in people unnecessarily, if you have blind faith, this can create a lot of issues. This can create family disturbances. This can break families, and you can be insecure. While you are insecure, you become possessive. If you become possessive, you can become nagging, you can have psychological issues, and therefore there goes the relationship. So marriage is one area which can be impacted because of this Mars. Also, if you're a Virgo ascendant, Mars in the 11th house is also going to give you overseas opportunity. People who are connected with energy sources, battery, liquid energy, liquid metals, who are connected with electrical and electronic equipment will see great boost in their career. But overall, try to understand, this is your 8th lord going in an emotional zodiac sign. So definitely you have to deal with situation that you are running from. You will have to face your fears. And this Mars is going to make it a little difficult. But once you face the fear, you will win, because after all, this is your 11th house. Libra. Now in case of Libra, Mars is your life partner. Because if you're Libra, Mars is your 7th lord. That means your life partner, your existence in this world through external circumstances controlled by the Mangal. Mars is also your 2nd lord. That means Mars is everything that is personal to you, that is close to you, that kind of helps you sustain in this realm as a human being. You are a Venusian person, but everything around you has to be Martian so that it supports, it kind of complements. It's like the river and the bank. When such Mars comes debilitated in the 10th house, you have to understand that a Mars which is debilitated, a Mars that is 7th and the 2nd lord, a Mars that is basically a mild Markesh for you, is in one way both good and bad. Now when Mars goes in the 10th house, it becomes debilitated, it makes you very emotional and sentimental at your workplace. You might see that in your career, in your office, there may be a situation that you may not like. So you have to basically be careful how you are dealing situation and people in your workplace, how you are discussing your situation with your supervisors, how you are handling matters related to juniors, how you are handling matters related to deadlines, more masculine way of life. But on the other hand, a 10th house Mars is aspecting your ascendant. That means whatever happens in your career, say the feedback that you are getting from people in your career, is affecting your personality. It's affecting who you are. And on the other hand, you may find yourself in basically an isolated state. You may find yourself in a situation where you have less number of people to discuss the matter. You are more in a shell. You are supposed to provide resolution to others, but when you look up to someone for help, there is nobody to get help from. That can be a problem when Mars debilitated aspects the 1st house. Which also means that there can be a situation where you are bringing the anger of workplace back to your home, where you are getting the heat of the work-life imbalance. All the balance in life, all the planning goes down the river, and this is where the challenge comes. This is where the debilitation of Mars, the emotional reaction of Mars comes into play. Say you accept the work more than your capacity. Maybe you are expecting something in return, maybe there is a promotion waiting for you, maybe you have other plans, but you may indulge into greater amount of work. You involve into a lot of workload, and now you don't have time for your personal self. Now you don't have time for your family. You don't have time to look out for your health. All this can be very, very difficult in the long run, because Mars is going to affect the 10th house for a very long time. So what you should do is you should focus on your career, you should focus on your personal health and try to create a right balance. Also, there can be a lack of support from seniors and supervisors at this point of time. So that is also one challenge that you might face. Mars will also aspect your 5th house. So you may also see that because you are more strict or you are more not in the right mood, your children might get affected because of this. Your knees may get hurt. You may have joint related problems, and suddenly there can be problems related to the blood flow. So people suffering from blood pressure, people suffering from bone health, people suffering from kidney related issues should be a little careful during this time and have themselves checked, get checked and do all the reports. Now Mars also aspects the 4th house. 4th house is all about your comfort zone. 4th house is about your network circle, something that is close to your heart. So when Mars aspects that from the 10th house, it might mean that you're losing friends. You're losing friends because you're too much engaged in the workplace, or you are desperately seeking a vacation, or your mind is in the personal life but you are in the official workplace, and now you are unable to enjoy both. That is why you need to figure out how to prioritize things in your life, because prioritizing and executing will be a big problem. And for that you have to pray to Bhagwan Hanuman by chanting Om Ham Hanumate Namah, or chanting Hanumat Stavan, Hanuman Chalisa, Sundarkand, Rama Raksha Stotra, and controlling your mind by taking one step at a time, slow and steady, in your case, will win the race. Scorpio. Now in case of Scorpio, your ascendant is ruled by Mars. This Mars goes in your 9th house. Now this is a very, I will say, interesting position of Mangal. Your ascendant lord as well as your 6th lord is going in your 9th house. What is so tricky about this? Because your ascendant is Scorpio, natural behavior of Scorpio is being very secretive. And when it goes into the 9th house, it means you are keeping your faith and belief secretive. This might mean that suddenly some of you might go away from your natural faith or your natural course of life and try to explore a different area or different things in life, but be secretive about it. Now, this might also mean that you have lost something and you don't want to disclose. It's okay to keep things in your heart, but this can create an emotional volcano, and because 6th lord is in 9th house, you will become your own enemy. So what you should do? See, follow the path of dharma, the right attitude of life. The 9th house is a very responsible house. It's a house for Scorpio which actually keeps the sanity check for the nature of the ascendant. Why? Because the Scorpio has this power to sting, to inflict poison. But because the Dharma Sthan has a very humble zodiac sign of Moon, naturally the Scorpio is not going to kill everyone. But when Mars goes into the 9th house, it messes up with the emotional state and a feeling of revenge kicks in. This feeling of revenge can be very small, and this can be misjudged with competitive spirit, or it can be very big and can create major issues of life. So you need to check that. You need to also focus on what you're believing, whom you're following. You might also get scammed by fraud things, fraud messages, online frauds. So also you need to be careful there. The best thing is that you do some sort of religious travel, spiritual travel. You start seeking the assembly of spiritual people. Say you go into a meditation class or a yoga class. Because what this Mars wants is, it wants you to change your attitude towards your own self. It wants you to focus on your daily routine and wants you to bring discipline, because that is what you will lack. You will find very difficult to manage your day-to-day task. Some tasks will just happen on its own and you will have an expectation that then everything should happen on its own. A lot of people would want to delegate and take a step back and relax. A lot of people will not be able to meet deadlines. A lot of people will be spending a lot of time on one thing but not able to focus on other things. So this lack of priority, lack of judgment, what time needed where, what amount of energy should be spent where, this is going to create a issue for Scorpio, be it personal life or professional life. Say for example, you are spending too much. Say you are trying to explain something to your family. Say you want to become a musician, you are trying to explain your family. Now you are over explaining it. You are spending too much of energy there. So what is happening? Because of this emotional imbalance and this faith that I can prove my point, you are missing the timeline. So it's okay to do efforts, but efforts done without proper direction is a waste of time. Also, you'll have to take care of your lower back. You should not do anything that is not as per dharma, that is injustice to others. Breaking the law should never be done because Mars is police. You will be in deep trouble. So try to follow the path of rule, law, discipline, dharma as much as possible. So on a day-to-day basis, if you wake up, make your bed, clean your house, and for the first 30 minutes, prioritize your day. Whether the day goes along as per your plan or not is not your problem, because that's not in your control. But you can create a plan. You fail 99 times, on the 100th day, still create the plan. That should be your approach. That no matter what happens, you will follow the path. You will follow the path that you have created. And then as per the situation happens, as per the life takes you, if there are deviations, you will follow that deviation. You will take on the spot decisions. But in your own head, you need to have that backbone, that plan, because this Mars will make you lack a spine. You won't be able to take a stand for yourself, and the enemies might win. So in this case, praying to Bhagwan Hanuman by chanting Bajrang Baan, Hanuman Chalisa, Hanuman Sathika, praying to Mata Durga by chanting the Aigiri Nandini Stotra is a very good way of handling the energy. And in case when you're feeling weak, try to connect with people who you know are your well-wishers, especially your family members, and come as a close unit. Because if you come as a bundle, the energy will become way more stronger. And on the other hand, Mars aspecting 12th, 3rd and 4th house also indicates that you should not try your luck, especially in the speculative business, especially in the stock trading, because this can create unnecessary financial losses. And the relationship with your brothers will improve. Your brothers will prove a greater support here. On the contrary, the relationship with the neighbors or people around you may come into question, maybe because of the change of ideology or conflict of ideology. So you need to be a little secretive here, and you need to keep things that are controversial within you. Don't reveal, don't express, don't talk about those things. Otherwise, it will create unnecessary conflicts, controversies, and battles. Sagittarius. Now for Sagittarius, Mars is a very unique planet for you. For you, Sagittarius, Mars is your 5th lord, your education, your purva punya, your children, your something that helps you express. So you are naturally a very fiery expressor. You want to defend things with a lot of fire. But Mars also has a very secretive angle with Scorpio being in the 12th house. Lot of things are hidden in your mind, and this Mars goes in the 8th house. Now, when your 12th lord goes in the 8th house, this is a very, very tricky situation. On one side, this is a Vipreet Raj Yoga, because the 12th lord is in the Ayushva Bhav, the secretive occult house of the Kundali. So is the 5th lord. So it's a great time to follow the path of Tantra. If you are already initiated, or if you have any interest into following yourself to the path of Tantra, I'm not talking about the negative one, the positive Tantra, then this is a great time. And for any Siddhi, for Kundalini Dhyan, for Kriya Yoga, for deep meditation, say going into the Vipassana Dhyan, this is a perfect time. It's a perfect time to take a step back, surrender, drop your weapons down, and rebuild yourself. Because when 5th lord goes in the 8th house, it means all the purva punya, the past life karma, the positive ones, is trying to increase the longevity of the positive things in life, but you won't be able to see. Do not ignore your dreams. This is the time when suddenly you may change your track in your career. Suddenly you will see that you are becoming more popular or less popular. You have to follow that. This also means that you will have to come up with adaptive and new ways of handling your career and handling your finances. A great time to fix your money into long-term deposits rather than putting it into risky things, because Mars is aspecting your 2nd house. This also means that suddenly there can be unnecessary big expenses coming your way, which you can't avoid. So start preparing for that so that you are focusing more on income rather than expenses. Expenses now will be positive things later. You will also realize that things which you are thinking are expenses right now will become an investment later on. Let's take an example. I'm not saying that you have to throw your money, but let's say you buy iPhone 16 Pro Max. You have the money for buying iPhone 16 Pro, but you say, okay, let me stretch a bit and buy 16 Pro Max. And then after buying, you're feeling guilty that why did I buy? Why did I spend an extra money? I'm not saying that this is true for all your expenses, but in certain cases, you will realize that after, like say, some time, that Pro Max becomes your business tool. So places where you know that stretching a bit may give me an edge tomorrow, you can spend the money there. But you have to be careful if you're spending money on real estate, property, assets. There you will have to understand how much liquidity is needed, how much money is needed, because 8th house needs a lot of planning. 8th house means Mars is hidden. This also means that you will have to focus more on learning and absorbing. So read Sundarkand every day, Bhagavad Gita every day, any Puran. If you want to learn any occult knowledge, if you want to focus on healing, this is a great time. Mars being in the 8th house also aspects the 11th house of Libra. Suddenly, the balance shifts, the equation in the life is changing, and this ever-changing equation of life is not in your control. So do not even try to exercise control on life. This is the time to go with the flow, and things will fall naturally in its right place very soon. Now with Mars aspecting the 2nd house, this also shows that the equations in the family is changing, and you should not go into any war for property, for assets, especially with your in-laws. Now when Mars goes in 8th house, this also creates unexpected enemies, hidden problems, which Mars is going to fight. But this Mars is very emotional. So what you can do is you have to avoid any action or reaction because of emotional outburst. Otherwise, they will be leading yourself into unnecessary problems. Say emotionally you said something on social media and now it is coming to haunt you back. So be very careful on that side. Praying to Ma Bhagavati, praying to Mata Mahalakshmi, praying to Hanumanji, chanting Sundarkand, or simply saying Manojavam Martulya Vegam, Jitendriyam Buddhimatam Varishtam, Vatatmajam Vanarayutu Mukyam, Shri Ramadutam Sharanam Prapadye. By just praying to Bhagwan Shri Ram, you will be able to balance this emotional Mars. And one more thing, do not eat any food that triggers you emotionally. This can affect your health also. So you need to do everything possible to correct your health. Otherwise, this can impact your sleep. Sleep will impact your stomach, and this is going to create a lot of allied issues related to health. So be careful there. Capricorn. Now in case of Capricorn, if you observe that Mars is your 11th lord, Mars is your 4th lord. So Mars represents your assets. You are the ascendant where Mars becomes exalted. But now Mars is going in the 7th house. Now when 4th lord goes in the 7th house, it is 4 places away from itself. It is Bhavad Bhavam. And then Mars in the 7th house aspects the 10th house. That means that the Mangal, which is your personal life, people that are close to you, will become a hurdle in business. They may emotionally involve, and it can be a kind of an obligation to manage these people, those energies. And that means it's going to be a little messy in order to manage your home, finance, marriage, as well as your career, because all is getting messed up because of Mars being in the Cancer zodiac sign. Now on top of that, Mars aspecting the 10th house also means situation in marriage is interfering with your career. Situation in your house is interfering with your marriage. And the only way you can manage this is by being quiet. Saturn is retrograde in Shatbisha. So you need to focus on yourself. You need to focus on the available resources that you have, and maybe, take a back seat and focus on what is right and what is wrong, and go ahead with one step at a time. Otherwise, this can be a little challenging. Now, Mars is aspecting the second house. That means definitely if you are in a situation where you want to move away from the family and you want to go abroad for career, or you want to move to a different city, this will facilitate. But if you are in a situation where the marriage situation is a little challenging, the relationship part is a little challenging, this debilitated Mars can pose more challenges. This can make situation emotionally more vulnerable and emotionally more challenging. The best way is to pray to Bhagwan Hanuman by chanting Hanuman Chalisa, or simple mantra Om Ham Hanumate Namah, Om Ham Hanumate Namah. Seeking protection, doing charity, focusing on managing your day-to-day lives, controlling your urges, because this debilitated Mars will give a lot of negative urges in your mind, regulating your physical self by doing yoga, and not trying to disrupt marriage or career. That means not a great time to switch career unless it is there in your birth chart or it is absolutely necessary. So if things are running smoothly, do not experiment, do not touch, otherwise the entire castle will come down. But if it is at all necessary to say manage your career, manage your business, manage your marriage, do it one step at a time, do it slowly, because anything that is aggressive will turn out to be a disaster. But if you're passive, if you're slow, if you're feminine, you will be able to handle the situation in a very, very accurate and apt manner. Anger management is going to be a very important theme for Capricorn natives. Aquarius. Now, in case of Aquarius, if you observe, Mars is very important. It's all about your caliber. It's all about your strength. Mars is all about your capacity to drive your life. Why? Because it is your third lord and 10th lord. It's your willpower, it's your free will, it's your capacity, it's both your hand and legs. It's your capacity to bear the responsibility. So for Aquarius, if Mars becomes too powerful for you, you tend to manage the responsibility quite well. But the moment Mars goes debilitated, this can create a lot of issues, especially in your health. You might feel that you are crushed under responsibility, the responsibility of family, debts, and career. See, what you have to do is you have to accept few things and get along, because if you fight and resist everything, it won't work. That is the nature of Mars in your Kundali for Aquarius Ascendant and Aquarius Moon sign. But you have to understand that this is the time when you are focusing on your career, you are focusing on things that are important to you, because you have responsibilities to fulfill, duties to fulfill, responsibilities. But if you feel burden of it, you will be crushed under the pressure, because Mars gets debilitated in your 6th house. First of all, it will increase the debt in your life. So say for example, if you're buying a secured home loan, it's fine, that is also a debt. But if you're unnecessarily pushing yourself into debt, say buying few things, unnecessary things, you're using a lot of credit card, you're taking debt because you want to gamble, then it can be a serious concern for you. Mars in 6th house is not a joke, especially when Mars is in zodiac sign of Moon, which is Cancer. Now, people who have Aquarius Ascendant and Aquarius Moon sign, having a good moon, will still be able to manage it. But if your moon is bad, say your moon is with Ketu, your moon is with Rahu or Saturn, this can be a cause of concern. So you will have to be very, very careful. You may feel that you are under a lot of pressure at this point of time. So release the pressure, seek help. This is the time to seek help and not make everybody your enemy, because the world may feel as if the world is taking some sort of revenge against you. Now, Mars aspects your 9th house, Mars aspects your 12th house, and Mars aspects your ascendant, which means if you don't let go of this pressure, if this pressure valve does not release, it will impact your health negatively. For this, you need to exercise, you need to do yoga, you need to focus on your day-to-day tasks, you need to manage things right from morning to evening and try to stick to the plan as much as possible. Drink plenty of water, also donate water wherever it is possible. Anger will not be a solution. Your anger, your emotional outburst will only worsen the condition. It is better to go with the flow, taking one step at a time. Pisces. Now in case of Pisces, Mars rules your second house, Mars rules your ninth house. And this Mars goes in your fifth house. Now fifth house Mangal is a kind of Mars that is going to impact your knowledge, your expression. But you realize one thing, that this Mars is actually very good for you. Why? Because your ninth lord is 9 places away. This is a Bhavad Bhavam position for Pisces, Meena Rashi. Whether you're watching this as a Pisces ascendant or Pisces moon sign, Mars being in the fifth house only means that you are more focused on earning through education. So if you are into educational tech or any educational field, if you are into medical practice, if you are into healing, this is going to be a very good career, a good career path for you. But this also means that you are anticipating a lot of things. The only drawback of Mars being in fifth house for you and debilitated and then going retrograde on December is that you will anticipate a lot of things, and because of this anticipation, you will take a step back. Fear. Fear is your biggest enemy. If you take decisions because out of fear, you will miss on opportunities. On the other hand, if you are taking decisions because of comparison and jealousy, which is the natural reaction of Mars being in Cancer zodiac sign, this can also create a lot of problems. But if you are taking a balanced and practical decision, if you are like a chef, if you are into the kind of a situation where you are bringing in all the possible resources, just like a chef carries all the ingredients and then raw ingredients and create a food out of that. If you are able to bring in all the resources and then create a good situation out of that, take a good decision, create something in life, you will be able to achieve a lot. This is not a bad Mars. This Mars is only going to create ruckus if you become overly emotional, if you express more than needed, if you are telling everything to everybody, then there is a problem. See, when ninth lord goes 9 houses away, this Mars is going to make you very humble, very polite, very sensitive. But maybe the circumstance you are in is not ready for that. So what you will have to do is, maybe there is a change in your lifestyle, a change within you. But if you see the circumstance is not suitable, don't show that change. Keep it within you. You are becoming a better person, good for you. But if you meditate in the jungle without any protection, lion will eat you. So you need to be careful there. You need to bring in the aspect and the concept of self-defense and self-protection. Before being good for others, you need to defend yourself, because you can only do good for others if you are alive. If you are if you don't have a job, if you don't earn money, how will you help the poor? You can only help if you are samarth. That means you are prosperous. You have the capacity. So you need to focus on building your own capacity, becoming a better person, but not at the cost of your own self, not at the cost of your own health. This can also make you a little bit of miser, but that's okay. You will tend to save a lot of money, and this is also the time when you would want to experiment with source of income. Don't do that. If something is going on nicely, do not touch it. New career opportunities will definitely come, but for that you may have to take some certifications, you have to learn something. So for Pisces, it's a very positive and very beautiful transit. And to balance your emotions, do pranayam and pray to Bhagwan Hanuman and Bhagwan Shri Ram. Also, you can chant Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya.